And welcome to Impact 2024, our continuing conversation where we have all types of topics, opinions, views. We talk about everything, current events, everything that you may want to talk about. This is that safe place that we can have conversations. And as we always say, this is a conversation. Please feel free to type your questions and your comments into the comment section so that you can be a part of this conversation. So we jump right into that, kind of do that real quick so that we can just get right uh, get the preliminary stuff out of the way, so that you'll be able to enjoy the topics. Remember, if you're on Facebook, YouTube, your comment section. So just to be clear, once you put that in, we'll be able to pull it up and address whatever you are saying. Before we jump right in, though, I want to remind people that this is a ministry of Imani Christian Ministries. This program is a part of that, and there's other offerings. So on Thursdays, we have Thursday Thirst, which is a weekly Bible study. That is at 7 on 7 Eastern Standard Time, same place, Facebook, YouTube. On Sundays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard, we have worship service. Please join us for that in person and online, Facebook, YouTube, all the website. And on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock, we have prayer. And that's the time that everyone in the ministry prays together from 7 to 7:45. You don't pray the whole time, but within that time frame, please pray, and you will be praying with the ministry. We'll all be praying at the same time. So we encourage everyone to do that. Prayer should be something that we do every day, but if we can't necessarily remember to do it every day, we need to schedule time in there to make sure that we're intentional with our prayer. And so that's what that offering really is about. Thank you for joining us, everyone. So this one is a little bit different. This is our political edition. So normally we try to stay away from politics. We kind of skirt around those things. We talk about stuff, current events and everything like that. But this one, a little bit different. I'm gonna go straight to it. As you know, next Tuesday is election day. We're not gonna play around, pedal around, fake like we don't know what's happening. But on Tuesday, it's election day. It's between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, and different people are going to choose different candidates. There's other candidates, senatorial races, local races, everything like that. I was talking to my son the other day, and we were talking about voting, and I had to explain to him, and he knew most of this already, as a seven-year-old, that voting is important. It's critical. And I said, "Do you know why I take you voting?" I take him every time to the booth. I said, "You know why I take you voting with me?" And he said, "Yes." He said, "Because it's important." I was like, "Yes." And do you know why it's important? And I explained that many people who look like you and I, who look like us when I was talking to him, fought for our right to vote. They used to not be able to vote. People lost their lives, black, white, all different races lost their lives fighting for our right to vote. African Americans, black people. And women couldn't vote. And he was like, "Well, black women?" I was like, "No, all women, they couldn't vote." And people fought for that. And he was like, "Well, fighting like less of the physical fighting, but fighting in legislative fighting and protesting, fighting in all different types of ways." And people were harmed and lost their lives in order for us to have the right to vote. And so I said, it's extremely important. So I want to show you that we need to vote, and I want to make sure that when you are of age, that you vote as well, because those who came before us sacrificed so much for us to be able to do it. And it's disrespectful when we play around and we don't exercise that right that so many died for. And so on Tuesday, I hope that you're planning to exercise. If you have the legal right, if you're registered, I hope that you exercise your ability to vote. Now, I'm not going to play and pander and jump around here. I'll tell you exactly what I'm voting for. I'm voting for Kamala Harris for the president. And I am very clear on that. And when people say, "Well, oh no, you're not supposed to do that. You're on a, you're affiliated with a church broadcast and blah, 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 blah." Listen, you can't really put out who you're voting for or encourage people to vote for and things like that if you're getting federal funding. There's no federal funding here. So I can say what I want to say. But I want to be clear. There's no point in faking. I think a lot of times we fake and we act like they said there's certain things you shouldn't talk about. You shouldn't talk about religion and you shouldn't talk about politics, if you don't want to get into a fuss or a fight. Yeah, but I also need to be very clear and apparent. I don't need to be fake, fraud, whatever. And so that's who I'm voting for. I'm voting for Kamala Harris. I'm not voting for Donald Trump. So I'm voting for Kamala Harris because I do believe in what she's doing, but I'm not voting for Donald Trump. And those two things are separate issues, but that's the same issue. Uh, I want to be adamant here. I am voting for Kamala Harris, but I'm also not voting for Donald Trump. And there's reasons I'm not voting for him. And so for people out there who have to make their own decision, I was tell you my decision is based a lot on the fact that I cannot vote for somebody who has um, continuously done racist activities. And people are like, well, they'll talk about racism and they'll say things like, oh, well, that wasn't a racist, or that may not have been racist, and things like that. And I'll say to those people, I think there's two groups. There's people who genuinely don't have a clue what racism is. They think it's only when you say the R word, or if you say some other kind of derogatory term, they're like, oh, and that's racism. But if you don't do that, then you're not racist. Well, that's a very low bar. And racism is your actions, your thoughts, your opinions, your words. It's all of that put in together. But mostly your actions, what you do or what you allow others to do. And so what Donald Trump has done is he's done many racist actions over the course of his life, has put out many racist words over his life. And so I firmly believe that he is racist. And even if he's not, the racist activities, I don't accept and I will not go for. And so you have the one group who doesn't believe and they don't know. And then you have the other group who just makes excuses for it. And whichever one the people are on, I'm not going for that. And so I'm in that different group. So look, why are we here? Why, all right. Now I've said what I had to say about who I'm supporting and why, and who I'm not supporting and why. So why are we here, and why would we do this here in this form? Because one, again, I want to encourage everybody to vote, but then two, the question is, what decision making are you doing when it comes to your faith, whether you're a Christian or something else, whether you have no faith at all, but you have some moral values. Whatever a person is, what is guiding the decisions and the people that you support? And so for me, what would be the point of me coming to church? What would be the point of me saying that I have faith if I'm not going to guide my decisions, not all of them, but most of them, but guide my decisions by the word of God? And so what I see here in this political climate is people who are trying to compartmentalize. They try to be one person here and they try to be another person over here. And I don't, if anybody thinks differently, let me know. Put your comment in here. But can you be two different people at the same time? Can you be somebody who says that I believe in respect or I believe in honor, and then you have a mayoral candidate or I don't know, school board candidate or something like that who doesn't believe in those things, and you say, well, I'm going to support that person anyway. How does that work for you? How does that coincide? Not that somebody has to be perfect, but if somebody is fundamentally doing the opposite of some of the things that you believe in or some of the things that you do, can you get on board with that? Can you vote with that? Or can you be the person that separates the political leader from your personal life? Now, that's what a lot of people do. And this is not partisan one side or the other, but that's what a lot of people do. They'll say, well, this is just a political leader. They can do whatever they want to do. I need somebody who can get the job done. But in my real life and in my personal life, I need somebody who is honest, or I believe in honesty, and I believe in, I have certain values that I believe in, or I believe in the word of God. But when it comes to these political leaders or the leaders of countries or leaders of organizations, they can do whatever they want to do. I think that's being two-faced. I think that's being hot and cold. As the word says, be hot, be cold. You got to be hot or cold. Can't be warm. I think you're being lukewarm, and you're trying to have things both ways. Trying to, as they say, have your cake and eat it too. I think you're sitting on the fence, and I think that's what a lot of people are doing. And I don't know how they do that, but I will say to me, I have to get with the person who is most consistent with who I am and my morals and what I'm going to do. And the consistency level may not be much. So on a scale of 100, maybe only 50, or on a scale of 100, it may be 10. But if it's 10 and then the other person is at a 5, I'm gonna have to go with the 10. And I think that that's sometimes the separation of what's going on for Black men. And let's talk about this election. Now, I think that there's a conflict of interest. On one hand, we have a person who, again, my big thing is this racism, who has made blatantly racist comments. And yet people will be like, well, I want a tax cut, so I'm gonna support them. Or, I think they're better with the economy, so I'm gonna support them. Well, how is that consistent with your values? How is letting somebody talk about you and your brown skin, or your child and their brown skin, or your parents and their brown skin, and your sister and your cousin and your niece and your nephew, everybody in your family and their brown skin, but you're gonna be like, oh, you can talk about them, but I'm gonna get with you because of the economy or because of whatever I want. I think that's inconsistent with your values. For me, as somebody, if you were just a constant conflict with the word of God, how am I going to get with you? Because I think who you support represents a little bit of you. Actually, I think it represents a lot of you, but I'll say a little bit of you to be kind. I've heard this constant phrase over and over again. People are saying, well, I don't support I don't support everything this person does, but I'm gonna get on board with them anyway because I like their overall policies. But the worst things that they do, you're allowing to do. You're an enabler to do. So that represents you. You cannot pick and choose and parse away. So if they're doing horrible things to people, and you're saying, well, I only voted for the good things that they do and not the horrible things. That doesn't work like that. Your vote is for the good and the bad. Your vote is for the right and the wrong. And your vote is aligned with who you are. And so there's no way, I think, that whoever you vote for in whatever different election, where you can sit back and say, hey, I'm going to vote for this person, but they don't represent me. Because they do. Or I'm not responsible for the bad things that they do, because you are. And so I need that to be clear. I need that to be clear. That's the perspective of where I'm coming from, is that your vote represents you. The leaders or the people that you choose represent you. And not that you're going to be right all the time, and not that we're going to be surprised. I voted for people. Man, I voted for some folk and then found out later on, like, whoa, that was the wrong choice. This person is really not consistent with who I am. I was fooled. But you can't just go, I don't think you can go out here and say, well, this person is inconsistent with who I am, but I'm going to get with them anyway, because there's those parts of them that I don't like don't represent me, and I'm not okay with them, but I'm going to vote for them, so I'm allowed to do those things anyway. I know this is not, what we normally do, but I need to be clear as it's election time. I want people to be clear, especially us who, I'll talk about my Christian values and my Christian faith. And look, if the word of God tells me not to lie, that we shouldn't be bearing false witness, that deception is not the way. And we know that a lot of politicians, what do? They lie and they deceive. And that's in their bag of tricks and their some of the tools that they use to get the job done. Well, then I would need to get with the person who I think is lying the least or deceiving the least. I would need to get with the person who maybe they struggle with not telling the truth, but I can see that there's some opportunity there where they are trying to tell the truth as much as they can, because that would be consistent with my faith. And if someone is just like, look, I'm a liar, I'm gonna just go out here and I'm gonna trick, I'm gonna deceive, that's what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna have a hard time getting with them, because that's not on board with my faith. If it says love thy neighbor, and I see somebody who's just always talking about hate and not loving their neighbor and being mean and evil, just like, oh, I'm gonna wipe these people out and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. That's not consistent with my faith. And it's going to be hard for me to get on board with somebody like that. And so I think that all of us have to look at our faith and what is actually in our faith, not in our pseudo made up faith that we do nowadays, but in your actual what is in the Word of God. What do you have here in the Bible? Not what is some guy, your favorite writer, your favorite author, what has he said, or your favorite talk show host, or your favorite author, or your favorite business person, and what does she say? No, you need to sit back here and look at what your faith is and what do you believe, and don't alter it and change it for the moment. And I think that's what a lot of us have done. If we look at who we were 8 years ago, we've changed for the moment. Some for the good, some for the bad. And again, if anybody has any comments you disagree, please feel free to let me know. But there's one more thing, and then it's not a lot because I mean it's pretty straightforward. One more thing before we get out of here. To those who are out here, who have been looking at this election, and we're going to talk about the presidential election, and have been looking at Black men and certain Black men and what our roles and responsibilities are in this election. And what has been said by different people, President Obama has talked about it, some others have talked about it. We're looking at Black men and we're wondering, well, why is there such a difficult, why are the polling showing difficulty with Black men getting on board, supporting a Black woman, supporting a woman of color? Some people will say it's machismo. If you don't know what that is, that's that macho-ness. And then it's just like, oh, I can't get behind a woman. I'm a man. I'm not gonna follow her. And some people saying it's some people saying it's an idea of just wanting to support a man or just wanting some coolness or some things like that. But what I've seen, and I'll say this is, what's funny is that there's a group of people who just want to be different, clout chasers. And you've heard the saying, all news is good news. And so if you're not popular, if you're not famous, if you're not out front, nobody's talking about you. The best way to get somebody to talk about you is to do something great or do something terrible. And if the thing is going to be great. But if it's terrible, you're going to get the same type of attention. And so, for example, if you're a rap star that no one really knows, or you have a couple of followers, but you want some attention, you'll say something like, hey, I'm going to support Donald Trump. And now all of a sudden, everybody's talking about you, whether they're talking about how you are the terrible person and you sold out the community or whatever, people are talking about you. Or if they say, well, great, people are talking about you. The easiest way to get your name out there is to say something controversial. And I think a lot of people are clout chasers. And I'm not just talking about the celebrities. I'm talking about just regular old everyday people. If you're a kid in school, nobody's talking about you. You throw on a MAGA hat, all of a sudden, everybody's gonna know you. They'll be like, oh yeah, that's that kid out there who's brave enough to throw on a MAGA hat. He's crazy. Or he's great and he's brave. But it's just that news. You want controversy and you're courting controversy in order to have people talk about you. And I think that's what's going on with a lot of folks. And so unfortunately, there's a lot of us who are just looking for attention. And that's why we do what we do. And that's what we say. And when it comes to Black men, there's a portion of us who feel unseen, unheard, don't have the power and position that we think that we need. And so we're looking for some clout. And so we're saying whatever news or whatever thing that can get us attention. Hope that the attention seeking that you're looking for doesn't bite you in the butt. And I hope that the attention seeking that you're looking for doesn't actually permeate into your brain and make you start doing things that you're not supposed to do, which is allowing racism to permeate and supporting racism and supporting racism. All right. Well, that's it. We had some little technical glitches in there, but hopefully it was good. Not really sure. But feel free. Please join us again. I know Tuesday will actually be election day next week. Please feel free to join us again. Same time, same place, as they say. Also, again, like I said, on Thursdays we have Bible study at 7. Sundays at 10 we have worship service, and then at 7 o'clock every Tuesday from 7 to 7:45 we have prayer. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for everyone. No comments today, but thank you for everyone who kind of joined us and came in. Please feel free. Put comments in there even after we've gone. The conversation continues. And so I really appreciate you listening to us. I really hope that everyone who's registered and who is able will vote. Regardless, even if you disagree with me, I want you to vote, because too many people fought too hard for everyone to have the right to vote. All right. Thank you. Join us again.